Welcome back. Let's take a close look at the node.value function. Now the very first part means that we are calling up this function. A function is a pre-written piece of code. Oftentimes you have to feed some information into that pre-written code so it will do what you're calling it to do. So after writing the function, we have a pair of parentheses in which we place the data that the function will need in order to execute. The node.value function needs two pieces of information. First, it needs to know the pathway to the node that we will be changing the value on. Then we place a comma to separate the first piece of information from the second. The second piece of information we need to send the function is what exact attribute on that node we want to reference. So here we have total time in quotation marks. So now the function knows specifically what node and what attribute on that node we want to reference. Now in the first part, the pathway pointing to the node actually uses another function. This is the space.currentScene function. We don't need to place any information in the parentheses for this one. This function will retrieve the pathway all the way to the scene level. Then we have an addition sign to add to the pathway. We add /physEngine in quotations to point specifically to the physEngine node. Then, as mentioned before, we have a comma and then point specifically to the total time attribute on the node. I'm going to demonstrate another way to write this so you can better understand what's happening. I'll select the code, copy it, and then paste it just below. I'm going to show you what exactly the space.currentScene function is doing by writing out the pathway by hand instead. I'll back out to the very top level in the LE. The very top level is the system level. Now I'll locate the project object. Okay, now I'll delete this whole space.currentScene function and write the entire pathway in quotations by hand. TrueSpace already knows that we are going to be starting from the system level, so we don't have to write that. We start with a / and then write where we want to go from there. In this case, we want to go into the project. So I'll write project. Now once we're inside the project level, we want to go into the scene. Here the scene is named ElementsOfGameDesign Start, so I will write that after another /. Then at the end we have the /physEngine, which points specifically to the physEngine node in the LE. So using the space.currentScene function in the first statement here is the same as writing the whole pathway. Now the advantage to using the space.currentScene function is that it will work in any scene. If we were to change the name of the scene, the statement with the pathway written by hand would break. It would no longer work. We would have to go inside here and change the name of the scene in the pathway to whatever we rename the scene. So the space.currentScene function is much more versatile and easier than writing out the entire pathway by hand. Now I want to point out one more thing. In these statements we have an equal sign and a value at the end. This signifies that we are assigning a value to a specified attribute on a node. In this case it's 15. However, we can also collect values from nodes to use in our scripts as well. I'll delete the equal sign and value at the end of the first statement. Instead, I'll go to the beginning and write a variable with an equal sign. I'll call the variable time. So now TrueSpace is going to find that specified node, find the defined attribute on that node, collect the value, and place it into the variable time. So in this case, time now equals 15. Then we can use our variable in math equations or conditional statements. Meet me in the next video and we'll put this node.value function into use with our rockfall scripts.